All right, everyone, let's make our way down to the chef stage. We're ready to get going. Let me tell you a little bit about the incredible chef that you're going to be hearing from. Chef Dana Cranfil has been our stage manager and basically the sous chef to the stars for the last 10 years here at ZestFest. And if you've ever been before to this incredible event, you know exactly how good she is, even if you didn't know how good she is. Because if you sampled the works of our celebrity chefs, you sample the work of Chef Dana. She's going to today, and I won't even try, Dana, to recap what you've got. It sounds incredible. But on top of all of that, the story that Chef Dana has will get you to one place, and that is food is healing. And food is medicine. She'll tell you more about her journey and why that matters to her, and I can't wait to hear the story, and I never tire of it. Would you please welcome Chef Dana Cranfil.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to ZestFest and our new place. We've got lots of elbow room, and it looks like we're filling up on a Friday, so that's a beautiful thing for all of our vendors. I am a personal chef. And it started out, my babies grew up and left home, and I started crying and couldn't stop. So I had to find something different to do, and so I went to culinary school. And I learned how to cook with all the cream and all of the butter and all of the ooey gooey stuff. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I realized that I needed to clean up my act, and even though I ran marathons and stuff like that, I did not eat as well as I should have because I liked Paula Deen, for one. I loved her recipes, and I fell in love with food as a little girl at potluck, so it didn't take long to realize that I like the rich things too. So now I try to make something healthy taste good, and people think that you're either going to eat what you want and it all tastes great, or you're on a diet and you just got to eat it and close your eyes and cover your nose. And that's not so. So I was also raised outside of El Paso and had a lot of abuelitas, little grandmothers, that taught me how to do Mexican food. And I had my best friend my neighbor next door had a grandmother that probably wasn't that tall. And she had hair down to her calves, and it only made a bun about that big. And she was something else. She did not understand a word of English, and I did not understand a word of her Spanish, but together we could cook, and she knew that it made me happy. So she taught me how to grind corn when she made tamales. She did it the old-fashioned way. She had a metate, and she ground her corn. And one time she did have blue corn, and it made a lovely blue masa, and we made her tamales that way. So I've always kind of had a special place for blue corn anything, and I thought I was going to have to go to Central Market or Whole Foods to find blue corn, and we were grabbing groceries for everybody. As you can see, I cook for anybody that's on the stage. And I found blue masa harina, which to me was just like, oh, Walmart has come to the great side of Mexican food. And so this is a set. Masa harina is what you make your tortillas with, or you can make tamales with. It is a finely ground blue corn. So, this is my best friend. This is Ruby. And she and I have had one of the longest relationships, and she goes everywhere I go. So anytime I have a chance to use Ruby, I do. So this is about a cup and a half of the blue masa, and then I am going to add a little bit of flour just to lighten it up because corn is more dense. There's 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a little bit of salt. And I want to tell you, I know a lot of people are learning about pink salt. So when you get pink salt, everybody says, oh, I can't have salt, or salt causes high blood pressure, which is so not so. But when you use pink salt, if it is really from the Himalayas, has all of the minerals that are in the periodic chart. So it is, even if how hot it's been miserably hot. Working in the kitchen can be just as dehydrating as working outside in the sun. So a lot of the chefs that I know put a little pink salt in their water, not enough to make it taste salty, but it does help with their minerals so that they don't have leg cramps and Charlie horses in the middle of the night, which happens. So that's just one of those things I learned. So we're going to just mix the dry things up. And there's a couple of eggs. So we'll add that, and some oil, and then buttermilk. And as you know, buttermilk makes everything lighter because it is acidic, and it helps anything that you put in it, it helps it rise. Just like Eddie's pie. I don't know if you saw me pulling his pie out, but when I pulled it out of there it is. When I pulled his pie out of the oven just a little while ago, it had a nice big dome on it, and that was because of the rising agent in buttermilk. So I don't measure, so don't tell, but you mix this until it looks right. So you want it to look like pancake batter. And these are basically little bitty pancakes. This is an appetizer. You can make it big or you can make it small. But we're just gonna stir that up, and I made them, this stove is convection. So if you put a cast iron skillet on it, it doesn't work well. But the ones I made that we're gonna sample were made over here on this other stove where you could get it heated up. So my daughter-in-law was kind enough to help me get all of this stuff prepped before it was time to do it. So I've got my handy-dandy mini scoop, and even though this is a non-stick, I'm still gonna spray it with a little bit of Pam, and that is hot. So what we're gonna do is we'll just put a bunch of these little boogers out there, and it doesn't take any time. These make really cute appetizers, and very simple. Sometimes appetizers get to be quite detailed, and this is not. So that's just basically a hoe cake, if you wanted to call it anything else. And here we go. Then I'm going to top it with some chicken that I have made. See, these don't take any time at all to turn over. There you go. So what I did, and this is something I learned by being a mom and a personal chef, I let the oven do as much work for me as possible. And I knew I had a bunch of chefs to cook for, so I made a whole bunch of chicken, and I put it in these trays, and then we put them in the oven with a little bit of water, salt, and pepper, and then we took them out, shredded it, and then put it back in with the juice, so that we will have nice moist chicken for other things on the menu this weekend. So it's super easy to do that. I put them in baggies and keep it cold, and you can make anything you want to, from chicken salad to these little intricate muffins. Now, while I learned this year with ZestFest was how to get permits for vendors for the city of Dallas. And so I got the chance to spend some time on the phone with lots of our vendors. And I knew again that I was a lover of all things mole. And I have met a friend, her name is Isela, and she has this product, and she's over there on the back wall. Oh, there she is. Come here. Here is Isela. And
Wasn't sure when.
here, I'm going to give you this, and you can tell everybody
Oh gosh.
about how wonderful your product is. It is heaven. People, you just have no idea how good this stuff is.
Cold
So
in
I'm
here.
going to stick this in your pocket. Oh, you got to just use this one.
I don't know how to do it.
Here you go. We're going to have to go under your ponytail. There you go.
Hey, bear with us because I've never done this before. Oh, wow. Cool. Hi, everybody. My name's Isela Hernandez, and some of you look familiar, so you've been by my booth. I've seen you. Thank you so much for coming by and trying our mole and our Mexican hot chocolate. First of all, it's freezing over here. Yeah, so you need to do one on my Mexican hot chocolate too. But for now, we're going to talk about the mole. Show of hands, who knows what mole is? Anyone? This side knows. Over here, nobody knows right here in the front what it is. Maybe a little. Okay, so mole is a very general term for sauce. And there's lots of different kinds of moles in Mexico. There's hundreds of kinds of moles. But the one that's the most well-known outside of Mexico is called mole poblano. And the reason is because it's a mix of a lot of ingredients, over 20 ingredients in this sauce. And one of them is indigenous to Mexico, and that's cocoa. So it's a sweet and savory sauce with chocolatey undertones. So you may have heard of this like chocolate sauce over chicken dish, mole, right? So that's the one that's the most well-known outside of Mexico, but there's hundreds of different kinds. So the one that we're using today, which is the one that I'm showing here at the show today, is the mole poblano. It's the traditional one. Ours has 28 different ingredients. It's a combination of 4 kinds of chilies with raisins as the main sweetener, and has all kinds of nuts: almonds, walnuts, peanuts, pine nuts. It has sesame seed, pumpkin seed, piloncillo, which is a Mexican raw cane sugar, plantains, and other herbs and spices. So if you were to make this at home from scratch, it takes a long time, right? Long time. It's a very time-consuming, laborious process because what's going on back there? Every ingredient needs to be either roasted or toasted or fried, and then once it's roasted, toasted, or fried, then it's ground, right? Every ingredient. So each one of these 28 ingredients in this mole is either roasted, toasted, or fried, then it's ground up, and then some ingredients are brought together, they're cooked together, then other ones, then other ones, and then after that happens, they all come together and they make this really great, delicious, complex, but well-balanced sauce. So that's mole poblano. I think we're going to sample it today with chicken.
We're going to put it with chicken. Yep.
Yeah. Traditionally, the story goes that nuns in a convent invented mole in Mexico. They were expecting a visit from the archbishop, and the legend is that they just like pulled everything they had in their cupboards and then just like came up with this sauce. And they poured it over a turkey because turkeys are indigenous to Mexico. And you can have it over turkey. It is very delicious, and if you have some mole around after Thanksgiving, you can use it over your Thanksgiving leftovers. But then, you know, the further north you go in Mexico and into the Southwest, we usually have it here with chicken, and that's kind of why everybody knows it as like, oh, it's that chocolatey sauce over chicken. So that's what we're gonna have today.
We're just going to put this on top.
Oh, here, you want this back?
Did you want to talk about your chocolate?
I can.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Tell them about it.
All right. she's giving me an opportunity to talk about, before you sample the chicken mole, she's giving me an opportunity to talk about the chocolate. So you're gonna try the chicken mole. I hope you enjoy it. You're gonna find that it's a very interesting sauce. There's a lot going on in it. It's sweet, it's savory, it's nutty, it's chocolatey. So it's really good. So I hope you enjoy that. And if you have a moment, please come by my booth if you haven't already. I also have Mexican hot chocolate. Does anybody know what this is? Nobody knows? No one? It's a traditional Mexican hot chocolate frother called a molinillo. So every Mexican kitchen in Mexico has some variation of this. They don't always all look this pretty, but these are all hand carved from one piece of wood. And there's rings on here. I don't know if you can see. I don't know where your camera is, but anyway, there's rings that are carved into this solid piece of wood. And so this motion is what froths the hot chocolate. And you use the bottom as a pestle to help dissolve the chocolate, because the chocolate starts off as a solid, and once it's in the liquid over medium heat, it starts to dissolve, and that froths it up. So I'm doing that in my booth back there. If you'd love to see it, I'd love to see you and have you sample it after you try the chicken with mole. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you are so welcome. This is so much fun when you do have people to do this with. Okay, I'm just going to do it this way because they're back there putting it together. James and Shawnee are. So, like I was telling you, I made the mole, and all it is it's dry product that's pretty compact. It kind of resembles a bouillon texture. So you can mix it with water. You can mix it. I mixed it with chicken stock and made a gravy out of it, and then added my shredded chicken, and then let it cook down because I didn't want these little pancakes to get soggy. So then all you have to do is take a little bit, put it on top of your pancakes, and then some good old queso fresco. You know, you got to have a little bitterness there. So, and that is a little handy little bite to eat at a party that I'm sure you're not going to be able to find that anywhere else, and you will wow your guests. So that is one of the many, 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 many wonderful stories. When you go through these booths and you talk to these people, they'll tell you their story and how they got into it. And this is these people are in love with what they do, and you can taste it. So go by her booth. We're going to have everybody's product out here before the end of the weekend because that's what we're here for. We're here to help these vendors, and a little girl named Isela from Mexico is making some wonderful mole. So come over here. I think the kids, James and Shawnee, if you're ready, our customers are ready for some samples. So go over there and we'll get you fed.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chef Dana Cranfil. That looks delicious. I was lucky enough to smell it backstage when we were getting ready for our guest. This is good stuff.